Hello, NBA fans, and welcome back to another episode of the NBA The Week That Was. Now, it's been around 10 games for most teams in the NBA season, so I thought I would look in at my favorite team, the Atlanta Hawks, and really explain this rough start that's happened so far. I mean, 4-6 isn't a bad record. It could be worse. We could be 2-8, 3-7. But the games we have lost have been tough ones to lose, especially last night's game against the Phoenix Suns. There are a few key reasons why I believe the Hawks have had this subpar start, and I really wanted to focus in on those and really just try and tell you guys how the Hawks can turn it around moving forward as they're on this tough Western Conference road trip. So let's get right into it and just discuss this poor start by the Atlanta Hawks to the 2021-2022 NBA season. Now, coming into this season, it was obviously going to be different for the Hawks. I mean, our expectation and just like the standard that we held ourselves to and the standard other teams held us to rose. Like our team in the eyes of other teams was better. I mean, last year the Hawks were still disrespected, underrated. This year that wasn't going to happen. This is a team that was in the Eastern Conference Finals and was 2 games away from the NBA Finals. They weren't going to just teams weren't just going to let them run past them. The teams were going to give it all because that's what you want to do. You always want to beat the best. And it's been hurting the Hawks so far. After a strong game to start the year against the Dallas Mavericks, we haven't really played a complete game. It's been very choppy for the Hawks. We'll win quarters here or there, but we're never able to close out games like those best teams have been doing, like the Miami Heat, the Utah Jazz, and the Chicago Bulls, for example. Those teams play hard from the first whistle to the last whistle, and you know that you're going to get that every single night, and that hasn't been the case for the Hawks. We've had some individual performers that have stood out. Trae Young hasn't been his best. He had a good game last night, but towards the end, he started playing hero ball, which is something I'm going to get into later. Cam Reddish has been quite good off the bench. He's been very confident, which is a good sign to see. I mean, he's not lacking that ability to just get to the basket and shoot. I've talked so much about Cam Reddish on this channel, and it's finally looking like he's having his breakout year. Again, he still has those erratic decisions, but in the past, he would let those erratic decisions keep piling up because he would just lose confidence. He doesn't let that happen anymore. He makes one bad decision, but he'll go and make a couple good ones. But he needs to really cut down on those weird step back mid ranges he takes or those turnovers that he's prone to do. He needs to just continue calming down, slowing down, and letting the game come to him. Kevin Huerter had a bad start to the year. John Collins has been quite good. If I had to point out something positive from the start of our season, I've been really impressed with John Collins. Looks more balanced on offense, looks like a better defender, and just, you get the sets that a player's become better. He looks more poised, more calm, more confident on the court, and that's what you want to see from a guy you just locked up at $25 million a year. But yet the big reason for the Hawks is for them not being successful is they aren't closing out games. There's a sense of complacency that develops within the team, which is something you cannot afford if you want to be considered a contender in this league. The Hawks had a big, all of the players in media day, press conferences, especially Trae, was like, we want our respect. We want our national respect. Now, if you want that respect, you have to prove that you should earn that respect. Yes, you can live on the past. You can live on the fact that, you were an Eastern Conference finalist, but that isn't going to hold up. Everyone moves on in the NBA. People only remember who wins the ring. That's the harsh truth. No one's going to remember that you took the Milwaukee Bucks to 6 games. They're only going to remember that you lost to the eventual champions. Now, we could blame in the past the Hawks losing these close games, not being able to complete games, on the fact that they were a young team. But yes, they are still young. Trae is only in his 4th year. DeAndre is only in his 3rd year. Same with Reddish. Collins is only in his 5th year. But still, you can't keep blaming it on their youth. I think we're past that point. We played 7 games against the Sixers, 5 games against the Knicks, and 6 games against the Bucks. That's 18 playoff games. You cannot blame it on inexperience and youth. So it'll be interesting. I mean, last year it was similar. We would play well in the first half, start okay in the third quarter, and then just let the game go. That's how it was under Lloyd Pierce, and that's how we lost a lot of close games. Now, Nate McMillan came in, and after being promoted to interim head coach after Lloyd Pierce got fired, and changed the mantra of the team. Made them believe. They were 27-11 under McMillan, but it's the same sense of complacency that's developing, and it's really interesting to me. I wonder why it happens. Trey made a comment where he said the regular season is boring. I mean, you can't be saying that stuff if you want to be the face of this franchise. Collins is more of the emotional leader of the Hawks than Trey is. So if I had to propose a solution, because you're not going to just fire Nate McMillan after you signed him for a multi-year contract extension, and I wouldn't either. He's a good coach. He deserves a lot of time with the team. I think Trey is the way the team will turn around. I mean, he's been playing okay. He hasn't been at his best, not like he was in the playoffs last year. He's had his moments again, like a lot of the Hawks have. But he really needs to step it up and just prove that he's the true leader of this team. I mean, you're the guy who's getting that max contract. Be the one who's setting the example. Working hard every single day. Working hard in games. Getting past those screens, not just giving up on defense. Not forcing up long threes or trying to get to the basket to draw fouls because those fouls aren't being called anymore. And that's a whole different story. I mean, the refs have been horrendous this year. I mean, I guess I'm biased that Trey got a lot of calls last year, but there are blatant fouls not being called. Last night was a horrible example of the NBA refs. Just DeAndre Hunter was fouled 4 times by Chris Paul in one possession and didn't get a foul, and Trey talked to the ref, and the ref gave Trey a technical. It's just, it feels like it's a bit biased because of all the calls Trey got last year, but it is what it is. I can't question the refs. But it's important for Trey to just calm down, be the leader he needs to be for this team, lead by example, and I think the team just needs to start believing in themselves again and believing that they can close out games. Play every quarter like it's the last quarter. That has to be the mantra for every game. You can't just wait for the playoffs. I mean, yes, the playoffs is a place where anything can happen. But it's important for the Hawks to realize that you got to win regular season games. You got to put yourself in the position to win every single game rather than letting, oh, it's okay if we lose this one. We're still around 500. We'll make the playoffs. Can't have that mindset. Teams are just going to eat at you and you won't be ready for the playoffs. So it's important for the Hawks to just start playing harder, start working harder, and start showing teams, because we have the skill. It's just about applying it. And I think it's an easy step to say. It's one step. It will change a lot. But it's a very hard step to execute because it all comes in the mind. And basketball is just as much a mental game as it is a physical game. So the Hawks just got to believe in themselves and play hard every single quarter and try and win every quarter like it's the last quarter of a game. And I think then the Hawks will make it and start playing like their talent and the skill level that they have and that standard that's been set for them from last year's playoff performance. And with that, I would like to conclude this episode of the NBA the week that was. Let's see, maybe I'll do another video like this in 10 games time and see if the Hawks have turned it around and taken my advice if they saw this YouTube video somewhere. Well, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. What videos do you want to see from me going into the regular season? I might be covering some of the good teams, some of the underperforming teams similar to the Hawks. So let's see where this season goes. I'll catch you guys on my next episode here on the NBA the week that was. See ya.